asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
Welcome to Discover Crypto. Today we got some major news because we just had the Ohm token. Mantra is down 90%. We're going to talk about what exactly happened with that token. Was it a rug pull? Is the project dead? Is it going to bounce from here? Is it the next Terra Luna? Also, we have some major resistance being broken by Bitcoin. Things are starting to look very, very bullish in the short term. I have something I want to show you with Ethereum. We got some other alt news. We're going to talk a little bit about Donald Trump. And we got Josh. Josh is back. He's looking sharp and debonair in the black tee. We got the memo today. Josh, how's
just need the blazer? That's all we need.
Yeah. But we got some Disco fan members. They're probably blazing as they're watching. So, but how was the weekend? The weekend price action was pretty good. We're still in the 50x long. I'm probably going to go ahead and close that. 51x. Yeah, I'm going to close it. We may have caught a bottom there. But the markets are looking pretty good right now. Looking at Bitcoin on the 1 minute. Bitcoin is starting to blast in with some very strong green candles out of nowhere. If we kind of measure just over the last hour, measure from right here, Bitcoin pumping about almost $1,500 in 52 minutes. Right now it's up about 15. And so Bitcoin having a nice little move. Let's actually hit refresh, just get some of this fresh pump action here. Bitcoin is up 1.3%, but Ethereum with the mega pump today, 5.5%, which is pretty significant for Ethereum when you see Bitcoin has only moved 1%. In fact, tonight, I have found something in the Ethereum charts, so turn on notifications. We're going to release a Bitcoin and Ethereum video, but mostly focus on Ethereum. There's something I just have to show you, folks. Let's keep scrolling down here, though. We have Tron up about 3.4%. Keep going here. We have Chainlink and Avalanche up around about 3% a piece here. But the major news, of course, is going to be the big loss there. But I do want to highlight Fartcoin still rising. Fartcoin is up 12%. Flare's up 7%. Algorand and Pepe. I'm in a Pepe long. I'm going to close that as well. But Story is down. ICP is down. Pi Network is down. But look at Mantra. Mantra down 88%, 88.4%. Has now fallen out of the top 100 on CoinGecko, erasing tons and tons of market cap just in a small amount of time. Looking at the daily candle, you can see the story right there. We're going to get into all that. But TJ, did you have any thoughts about the state of the market so far?
Yeah, I mean, overall, like you mentioned, nice to see ETH moving a little bit independently from other things. Could be signaling the start of bullishness for altcoins. Obviously, we've seen Bitcoin dominance remain strong up until recently. But yeah, that OM crash happening yesterday. It seems like most of the good crash action happens on Sunday night. So we saw it drop almost 90% in about 90 minutes. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that later in the show. We might even have the founder joining us. He was talking about joining. I'm sure he's been busy, or at least a team member. I don't know about the founder, but to kind of give some explanation on some of that. We've heard a lot of different things. Either way, we're going to be breaking it down, giving you guys our thoughts on that. Let us know in the chat. I'm curious if anybody in our chat is an OM holder, Mantra DAO. Not one we've really talked about much on this channel. I've stayed away from it for a lot of different reasons. It just the price action seemed very inorganic to me in a lot of different ways. So we'll break it down, but I'm just curious to know if anybody in our chat is a holder. Okay, Gustavo is a holder of it. To see, let us know anybody else though, if what the status is. But
yeah, let us know. Hopefully not too big a bag there.
Luckily.
What were you saying?
I was like, I don't know if we covered it too much. Luckily,
no, we haven't.
And it's because of the TVL. I know that early on, but just say Ondo's king. W's in the chat for the Ondo.
Well, you do like RWA, but you kind of planted your flag in a different RWA play.
Yeah, well, no, it was just based off of like everyone and he ended up being correct, but not telling anyone is somebody on X here that I've worked alongside with a lot of our Ondo and RWA coverage. And he called it very, very early on. So I have to shout out him, honestly. He called it over 2 months ago, and it's because he called there's like an RWA community in Dubai, and it's very, very small. And he had called them and talked to them, and they were like, yeah, we have no idea who these guys are. They've never reached out to us. So if they come on today, we have a lot of questions because having a 4 million TVL when you claim to have, hundreds of millions in partnerships is very, very, very interesting. So we'll see if they end up coming on.
James Bradley, biggest bag. That's all right. We're gonna resurrect your portfolio. Okay, it is our mission to empower you with financial freedom, and so just stick around, turn on those notifications. We will walk out of the netherworld together. Okay, hand in hand. I do want to, just kind of looking at these trades real quick. I do want to go ahead and close this trade. This is the Bitcoin 50x that we open live. I mean, I open this live, we're in it together. We're going to close it together. We're up 443%. I've peeled away probably 80% of the profit now, but I'm just go ahead and market close it. Go ahead and just walk away. Nice little bill in the pocket. And I'm going to go ahead and close this Pepe long. I don't want to be
300% ETH, 300%.
Don't want to be too exposed. Yeah, and might have to open some trades later on as well. But let's talk about Mantra. This token is a whole kit and caboodle here.
Yeah, real quick too, by the way, if you guys want to trade, the link is in the description. They're still running those $13,000 worth of rewards for the rest of this month. L Bank is. So just use the link in the description to qualify for those. And it's volume based, so you hit a certain level of trading volume, and you'll get those rewards. But
yeah, and they have all types of different things. So you could trade specific coins, you could trade all the coins, and they have all types of different giveaways there. Trade on a Thursday, win $500. So go check out L Bank, like you said, link down below. But now let's talk about which is what the people have to say if it was in their portfolio. They're just trying to find balance. They're trying to not jump off the ledge here. Mantra CEO denies insider token dump. It says the Arkham Analytics is mislabeled some of the wallets. So probably go through the whole thing here just because it is a complex situation. We don't want to misreport anything here. But John Mullen, he denied reports. He's the CEO of Mantra, denied reports saying there's insider sales by investors like Laser Digital before the 90% crash of the Ohm token. And so he said the large-scale token transfers by the investors leading up to it, he's denying those reports while speaking at an AMA hosted by Cointelegraph. The association, our key investors, our advisors, no one has sold, and we categorically deny and will provide proof on chain that this is the case. There's previous reports suggesting that Laser Digital, a strategic investor, cashed out large portion of the tokens before it collapsed on April 13th. At least 2 wallets linked to Laser Digital among the 17 that moved $227 million worth of tokens at the time, 2 exchanges before the crash. Let's go straight to the source here. This is the post. This is from Looks on Chain. There was something, before the crash, 17 wallets deposited the 220 million here. But there's something kind of, I would say, suspicious when you're looking. You can see Laser Digital transferred to 0xB37. This 0xB37 transferred to OKX. And so they're saying, well, we didn't transfer it, but on-chain activity, unless this is mislabeled, someone sold it, someone sent it to a wallet, and then that wallet later sold. TJ, Josh, you have any idea what this, you think is mislabeled? Or is this maybe just an investor cashing out some equity?
No, I don't think, I think a lot of times they thrive on chaos and these sort of things. And it comes, it's the Spider-Man meme, everybody pointing at everybody. Oh, it wasn't us. It wasn't the team. It was an insider. It wasn't an insider. It was an exchange. It wasn't an exchange. It was a market maker. At the end of the day, somebody walked away with a lot of money and the holders got hurt. And that's really what happened. If a lot of retail holders now I do think, again, this wasn't widely popular, talked about news-wise. Again, we stayed away from it. Many of the other top channels that I know stayed away from it. I do see a few people in our chat that held it, and if you were hurt by it, I'm sorry. But it definitely is a little bit of a sting on the RWA. I think it makes people a little bit more nervous. Now, I don't think this should, if you're an Ondo holder, if you're somebody who believes in that sector, I don't think you should let this scare you away too much. But anytime you see an asset that's a top 100 project, billions of dollars in market cap drop 90% in an hour, I mean, it's going to get people's attention. And there's definitely people that lost big money on it. So I think it was some combination of insiders, which would have links to the team. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. But they're always pointing fingers at other people. So if it leaves, like you just said, if it leaves this wallet and goes to this wallet, could there be mislabeling? Sure, that's possible. But I'll trust Arkham's they don't have any incentive to mislabel, so I'll trust
these
that.
wallets have been labeled for years. They're getting tokens in 2023. So the data indicated they started reducing holdings as early as February. The wallets linked to the firm received a large portion from Ohm, from crypto trading firm GSR, in 2023. So I mean, this seems to be, if it's mislabeled, it's been mislabeled for a very long time here. Now, Laser Digital denied reports alleging involvement in the volatility, claiming that the reference wallets did not belong to it. Here's their post. Let me go straight to it, just straight from the horse's mouth, source material here. We want to address the speculation. No involvement in the recent price collapse. On-chain movements leaked to our wallets have been flagged publicly. We want to be clear. We have not deposited any tokens to OKX. The wallets being referenced to OKX are not laser wallets. We're here to grow the ecosystem back. I think I kind of want to just point to that earlier. We didn't sell it to our OKX, but did they send to a wallet that then sent to OKX? Could they then say, well, technically, we didn't sell to OKX?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways around this, and we'll see it unfold over the coming week, probably. I think what was interesting here, whether the only person whether it was a CEO that didn't sell or not, they were supposed to speak at this RWA summit that's on the screen here. And it did end up where the CEO actually showed up and did speak there. And so,
was there a rotten fruit thrown his way?
You would think so, but that's going to, if you have the balls to show up to your convention after you rug pull, you're not showing up. So, this could be multiple different things. It could be market makers on the back end. It could be Laser Digital here and early investors and some insider that just took advantage of this, some sleazeball in, Dubai or something. It's going to be interesting to see how they can actually come back for this, though, because once you have a 90% drop or a 95% drop and you lose billions, your entire trust of your community, it's poofed into air here. So, we'll see what Mullen can pull it off of this, but, and I would like to see, hopefully it recovers for a lot of people out there. But again, you still have to look at, it only had 4 million in TVL. There was a lot of market making, pushing up that volume, and, on the back end of these exchanges, allowing it to run up to the market cap that it had. It's a very unfortunate event. It's a very unfortunate.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Now, there's the Binance angle as well here, the exchange angle. Now, Binance attributes to the collapse to cross-exchange liquidation. So cross-exchange liquidations is the key here. And so OKX and Binance, the first exchanges that saw significant Ohm activity before and during the crash. Both exchanges have addressed the issue. OKX founder called the incident a big scandal to the whole crypto industry, while the CEO attributed the crash to one exchange. Binance hinted at cross-exchange liquidations. Here's according to Binance. Our initial findings indicate that the development over the past days are a result of cross-exchange liquidations. In an update, OKX said the tokenomics had gone through major changes since October 2024, and they have flagged suspicious activity across multiple exchanges. And so we're seeing a lot of different, TJ said, it's the Spider-Man meme. Everyone's pointing a finger. No one wants to take the blame. But at the end of the day, some investor cashed out heavy, made a lot of money, and there's a lot of people who are down, and they're down bad.
Yeah. I think it'll be, what's interesting too is that this is South Korea, home of our Luna.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's just, there's a lot of tightening that needs to happen. And this is where hopefully some regulatory frameworks will clean up some of this industry, whether it is cross-chain liquidity. Like, those are questions that they need to answer. But yeah, I think TJ pointed out perfect. It's the Spider-Man. They're all responsible. At the end of the day, the only people hurt here are the holders. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Terra Luna too, because it does give, a lot of similar feelings to Terra Luna and the type of price action. And the good news is with Terra Luna, the crypto industry was completely intertwined, whether it was FTX or Three Arrows Capital, and it created a cascade event. This one's more isolated. But what I wanted to point out was, if you look at this price action here, I mean, you could see this project has been around for a long time. And all of this is pretty organic, what you would expect. And like, okay, they're getting a little bit, they went from 4 cents. All right, they had a nice little run up to $1.70. This all seems fairly organic. Well, what happened though, was it went from a little over $1 straight to like $3, straight all the way up to almost $10. And this felt very inorganic. Like, if all of it up through here feels pretty real, all of this seems very unreal, So yeah. And that's what you want to keep an eye on there, where when you see price action like this is probably about where it should have been the whole time. And so it was probably inorganic stuff that drove it up. then it's inorganic things that drive it down. And so just be careful with a lot of this type of manipulation.
We were actually warned with the price action. Share my screen here. Look at where it topped at. 911.
Nice.
That was our sign right there.
But where's
Topped
the
at
second
911.
tower, Easy?
Yeah. Oh,
that wasn't the joke. My bad. Too far.
Oh, no, it's building 7. $7. I said they're building, and they wanted to go to $7. That's what I meant.
Yeah, too early for those jokes, I guess. Here, Bitcoin sitting at $85,709. Yeah, guys, we are getting a bit of a pump here. It does, it's interesting that with the Ohm crash last night, that Bitcoin did kind of follow suit with it a little bit as well. But I don't really think that had any correlation to the price chat there. I think that was just kind of the aftermarkets there, just looking with the futures to open. So we're getting a lot of upside. We'll be covering this here today. The SPX is starting to run back up to the upside, and that's coming off some major announcements from tariff exemptions, as well as NVIDIA had a massive announcement today with their supercomputers, which we'll get to in just a moment. But yeah, what else do we have on Mantra? Is this coming back?
Well, I have good news.
Is it zero?
I do have good news. All right. TJ, I know we were looking at this earlier. Today, Ohm dropped 90%. If you invested $10,000 in Ohm a year ago, you still have $9,800. If you put $10,000 though in ETH a year ago, you only have $5,400.
Oh my! So Ethereum has been outperformed by a rug pull.
Yeah. ETH is still. I saw this chart.
What the F, man?
Yeah, this was brutal to see. I saw this today too, where it's like it's down 90%, but still outperforming Ethereum for the year.
So hopefully it's just an old bag,
Yeah.
If you bought a year ago, you're better than 90% of our
ETH price
viewers.
action's organic.
Yeah.
Is that the argument?
It is organic. It's just painful. And it's crazy seeing all the tiers on the timeline right now with ETH. It's so brutal to hold it right now. It's definitely one of the heaviest bags out there. I know a lot of you guys in the chat hold it. It's still one of my top holdings. I'm still a major Ethereum holder. Nice to see it moving up a little bit. Nice that DZ's got some hopium for us on tonight's video. I'm still not backing down on it. It's nice seeing it up almost 6.5% today, while other things.
Well, I just said there's something major I found. It could be a sell signal.
You didn't say it's good.
I didn't say it's good.
Well, I mean, looking at the E chart here, how much lower can we go? This is the craziest channel I have ever seen.
But that's
like it
ETH, right?
Is this from November 2021?
What is it? Warren Buffett's famous words. It's like, how do you tell when to sell a stock when it just goes down and to the right? This is bearish. This is bearish in this case. But yeah, guys, we have to break out. I guess the good news here is that all we have to do is break past like $1,900 Ethereum now to break out of this channel, which would be incredibly bullish. But at the same time, saying that makes me want to throw up in my mouth. It's interesting, but I think everybody knows here, guys, Ethereum's a long-term play here. No one's trying to get rich off Ethereum in today's world. It is one of the most financially innovative tools of our modern generation in terms of all of the development that smart contract protocols. It is the largest place that's being tokenized on top of. You have the ETFs, you have the staking coming out, you have BlackRock and all these companies investing into it. Look, it's just a slow bleed here, but I think everybody knows that Ethereum is going to end up being that $3,000-$4,000 price point again. And I want to, it could take 6 months, but I'm not panic selling out.
I've been saying it for a year. Once ETH staking goes live on the ETFs, I think that's when you can see $1,000 pump in like 1 month.
So you're not scared, right? You're not scared of a $1,600.
I've been dead inside in crypto for you since the bear market.
We're just not. We're like,
I just don't get scared.
We're Dexter Morgan now, dude. Like we're just numb. No emotions.
I do have a lot of plastic wrap.
It has now been, ETH has been plastic wrapped about 100 times, and it just feels dead, but there's life there. There's life there.
I think it's coming back in May, like DZ mentioned. I think that's when we see the staking in the ETFs actually take effect, and the rules that have been passed and the laws that have been passed actually start to go into effect in May. I saw something else about, I think it was Tim Scott talking about some good stuff coming in August. So I really think summer is really going to be the time, whether it's mid to late May, June, July, August, that's when we're going to see, altcoins really performing well and closing the gap on Bitcoin. But yeah, I'm still trying to get rich on Ethereum. I still think Ethereum will do it, but it's getting heavier and heavier by the day. Obviously still holds some Solana and other majors as well. But yeah, I'm not giving up on ETH. All the DeFi is built on Ethereum. All of the stable coins that you guys have been hearing so much about, all of that exists on Ethereum. You guys heard the founder of MakerDAO on this show last week talking about his never unwavering faith in Ethereum. And there's, from a tech standpoint, there's really not a lot of projects that have achieved what Ethereum has, whether it's market cap, whether it's finality, whether it's actual decentralization. I mean, they've really done a lot from a tech standpoint. So.
Yeah, we just hope it's not like that Japanese soldier stuck on the Philippines island, still fighting a battle for 10 years.
Oh,
but
my
ETH will
goodness.
come back, right? It will come back.
It will.
I think it will.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
was that. Hey, I'll take it. I did want to show this chart here though. Aerodrome. We bought this last Friday at literally the exact bottom. So shout out to anybody in Aerodrome. We are starting to get a little bit of a bounce here. 45 cents. I just saw this today. One of the bigger movers here. Might need to actually scrape profits off that, but that is coming right back to that zone there. A lot of green though on the weekend. We had some of these altcoins bounce pretty considerably. I would actually pull up Ondo here. Ondo, there's all falling Bitcoin. Bitcoin is breaking out here. So,
oh yeah, we're going to talk about those Bitcoin breakouts in a second. But speaking of breakout, before we talk about the short-term breakout, long-term, just remember where we're at. We're still in the middle of the second bull phase of the bull market. When you're still looking at the 4-year cycles, 2013 looked great. 2017, we had a little period where it was scary. Another little period where it was scary. That's where it dropped 50%. This is where we're at right here. So you could choose to get shaken out. I'm choosing to stand firm. I do think, things are going to be heading up in the near term. We're going to talk about 5 things to know real quick, but this is where we're going to talk about the breakout for Bitcoin. So there's 5 things we need to look at this week: price action, tariffs, ETFs, the DXY, and global M2 money. So first thing we got here, the breakout. You can see just kind of finally broke this multi-month downtrend there. Here you can see Rec Capital talking about it. Let's actually look at it. Here you go. Bitcoin looks like it is now finally broken out of this multi-month downtrend that started in January, and we're now confirming this as potential bounce zone. I'm sorry, I was looking at Ohm, so I screwed up my Bitcoin chart here. Let's go to Bitcoin. Let's go to crypto. You can see right there, closed the daily. And not only that, the daily came down and retested it. It bounced. We got the second daily, going even further to the upside. So no guarantee we're not going to head back down, but this is the first step you need to see, breaking a multi-month downtrend for Bitcoin. Very, very bullish, folks. This is bullish. I love this. Next thing we got, the tariff talks are keeping the markets on edge. The weekend, we saw a little bit of relief as Trump announced a pause for key tech products. As a result, Bitcoin climbed to 11-day highs. Subsequent indications said, no, these measures are going to be temporary. Then Trump, kind of basically let the air out of the balloon, stop the music. The uncertainty around tariffs have become a binary and unpredictable event for the stock market. Signs of tensions fuel further downside, while easings of tariff tensions send stocks sharply higher in the other direction. Third thing, we're almost done. ETF outflow barely registers. Total outflows, 750 million. But for economist Timothy Peter, there's nothing to worry about. Last week, the ETFs had their 5th worst week ever, over $700 million. Yet it barely registers as a blip in the chart. That's how big Bitcoin has become. That's how sticky these investments are. Keep scrolling here. Also, the dollar dive gives risk assets some relief here. Just jump to the DXY. This is the daily chart. This is unprecedented territory in the near term. This is 2023. We are now lower than this low. So we've definitely lost some support there, lost support on this trend line. As this goes down, your altcoins and Bitcoin pump. As this goes up, your coins get wrecked, essentially. And then last but not least, is there a rebound? M2 money supply, which Bitcoin price action is positively correlated, looking like it's going to break out. It's a fantastic sign for what will be coming into risk assets. This is the 108-day decline here. M2 just blasting off. And so if Bitcoin follows this 108-day lag, might have a little bit of uncertainty, but we're starting to gear off for a very, very bullish. I guess we're Q2 right now, Q2 2025. I'm feeling bullish. I didn't deploy all my cash on the sidelines. I still have some on the sidelines, but I'm not going to be surprised if that was the dip buying opportunity. Yeah. We may have missed it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it all depends on the tariff negotiations. I think the worst is over, though. And that's what, that's the question that people have to ask themselves is, what can actually get worse from here? Every headline, negative, fear-mongering war article has been released at this point. It's, can we break?
Well, there's still Iran. There's still the Iran shoe to drop.
Yeah. And then, so which if you want to bet on a world war, like that would still be, I think, just a conflict. I want to be us, like I don't know how that would play into it. So like,
yeah, it's not going to look like Call of Duty, is what you're saying.
Can it bring us down past 73K? Is my like, can that break that 73K level? We're now pushing back towards 86. Again, looking at the SPX, we're getting some upside here if economic data keeps rolling out. We're now inching days and days closer to the Federal Reserve cutting their interest rates. And as soon as they pivot, I'm expecting at least a definite bottom is in on that market here. I did pull up the live stream here just so you guys do know. I am waiting to see Bukele, President Bukele, El Salvador's Bitcoin president, is supposed to be arriving at the White House here. They might be hosting a bit of a press conference here.
I'm not kidding. Did you see that senator that misspelled Bukele?
Oh, no.
Which one?
Don't tell me.
Oh.
It was the thing that you're thinking that starts with a BUK. He actually had to release a comment. And it was like he blamed autospell and he blamed Apple autospell specifically.
Yeah. And, that doesn't help him. Because you know why?
It means he's typing it.
It means he's typing it.
Yeah. You know what? First time I typed Cardano, nothing. In fact, first 10 times. Now it capitalizes Cardano. So like you're typing that, bro.
Yeah. That was just say coming out and blaming autocorrect is not that was not the play.
Like, bro, how often are you typing in Bukele that seems like Bukele but slightly different? No comment there. No comment.
Well, let's go back to this. What do you think? You think they're going to talk about Bitcoin strategic reserve? You think they're talking politics about prisoners? Like, what do you think the actual
primarily prisoners for sure?
Prisoners
but I think Bitcoin's in that. But I don't know if he would talk to the president about Bitcoin or if he'd talk to Bill Hines about that.
Well, I mean, he could
a separate meeting.
This has been obviously El Salvador was the first nation to start the Bitcoin strategic reserve as a policy and start converting excess energy. That famously are converting that volcanic energy that they have into Bitcoin miners and that sort of stuff. So maybe the politics of that, dealing with the IMF. I would say, yeah, mostly it's political coverage for them, in what they're doing with the prisoners and the kind of private prison trade that they're doing. I see that will OM go up again. Look, I'm telling, if you, it might, I'm not saying it'll never recover, but I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole. It's we've stayed away from it from a long time. It's very inorganic to begin with. A lot of times these things do over crash, and if you believe it will recover, that's your choice. You're welcome to invest in it, but I'd much rather go with something like Ondo that has the backing of something like BlackRock. Like Josh mentioned, in the RWA space specifically, trust is important. Having confidence in the project is important, and if you see something like this, experience what looks like it turning into vaporware, what looks like them showing a lot more underneath the hood than was actually there. You should be very concerned about that. It could recover, but it'd be like it's like Terra Luna Classic, right? Sure, it still exists. Some people made money buying Terra Luna and Terra Luna Classic after the absolute wipeout. That's not what I'm looking to do. That's not where I'm looking to.
Yeah, it's kind of also like just pay attention to the partners, and this is a perfect example. Is like Mantra claimed to have all these strategic partners and everything, and it's like when there's another company called Chex right now, which will be the other warning here, CHEX here, which is another one that's within those groups that the larger real world asset community doesn't know too much about. So when I look at like Ondo Summit and they're sitting down with the the BlackRocks, the Chainlinks, the BNY Mellons, the Goldman Sachs, and these companies, these institutions are saying they are tokenizing with their product. I mean, that's a credibility level and formal legitimacy you're just not going to get elsewhere. So if those companies and Plume and a lot of these companies are working together, they have partnerships together. If they don't know anything about those outside sources and it's a very small industry, it's just very good to just kind of have that in the back of your mind so you can try to like red flag things. It doesn't mean these are all scams or anything like that whatsoever. Just again, ask yourself if there's a company claiming to do X, Y, and Z, and there's companies already out there doing X, Y, and Z. If they have no relationship or no, paths crossed, just again, that's where your Spider-Man senses should be coming back into play here, and you should be asking yourself, okay, why is this?
What was that RWA thing you were saying? Like
the next one the next one they're warning about here. This is probably a good thing I actually pull this up here. And this is coming from not telling. Oh my goodness, Bitcoin just dropped hard. But I will not look at that chart here real quick. Let me pull it up for you guys. So this is from the guy that predicted the Ohm crash here. Same guy. So Ohm was Mantra here for anybody that doesn't know. It's now to 69 cents, right? Absolutely fell off of a cliff here. The next one that he is warning about and the community is now warning about is going to be this one right here.
Why am I not surprised that's the price the DJ
I think
started
it's
bidding
not
on?
Chint AI. Let me make sure this is the right one.
Is the bottom.
Let me go to X here. I'll show you the pull it up. Not telling you because this is yeah, we don't want to have this happen twice. So this guy right here, this is the guy that predicted here, 21,000 followers on X. This is the one he's calling now. His checks is a complete scam and the next coin to go down 90%. Reasons to be careful. Partnership with companies no one has ever heard of that were just created only a few months ago. These companies were started only a few months ago, and yet they claim to have hundreds of millions of dollars in assets tokenized. When you Google these companies, nothing shows us. Super sketchy. Just like with Ohm, I asked top RWA crypto founders about Ohm, and they all said they didn't tokenize anything. No institutional adoption, and it's artificially being pumped by Dubai-based groups, plus the team owns the majority of the supply. I asked the top RWA crypto founders about checks, and they all said, we all work together with all RWA protocols, and checks has never reached out. Never seen them at conferences, and they've never reached out to us. Now, that is the difference between them and Mantra. Mantra, obviously, hosting their own conference, but they're running a sketchy operation. 100% of the coins in circulation, and the team owns the majority of them, just like Ohm. And since it's 100% in circulation, they have no incentive to keep building into the next bear market. Just interesting here. Again, doesn't necessarily mean it is. This is the guy that called Mantra Chain though 2 months ago, and so there's credibility.
And that has nothing to do with checks mix, which me and Josh give the 2 thumbs up here.
Yeah, this checks does not mix with RWAs.
And it is Kelly confirmed Chentai is checked, so that is correct. So.
Thank you.
Right. We do have some other Bitcoin news that hit. You know who bought? Michael Saylor bought. Just kind of looking at some of the numbers here. He ended up getting about 3,500 more Bitcoin. He now has 531,000 Bitcoin. Nice. Looking at some of this, so total stash 531,644. He purchased this for 285 million, and his average price finally got an okay price. His price came in at $82,000 per Bitcoin, and so now he has spent almost 36 billion. And his average cost $67,556 per Bitcoin. Good job, Michael Saylor. He is out there buying the dip. Now, Miles Deutscher has a couple Bitcoin charts I wanted to show you. One, the hash rate. The hash rate continues to explode to new highs, even with the price going sideways. This signals increased network security, miner confidence, and more decentralization, depending on the root cause. Overall, bullish for Bitcoin. And all things being equal with energy prices, this makes it more expensive to produce a Bitcoin. So the more it costs money to produce a thing, the more likely you're going to sell that thing for it when you do need to sell it. If it costs you $5,000 to mine that ounce of gold, you probably don't want to sell it for $4,000 or $3,000. You'll wait for the price to go to 5K. So seeing the hash rate climb, that is good. Also, he had another interesting Bitcoin stat. Whales, these are people with 1 to 10,000 Bitcoin. They've been accumulating hard since March, even as the price slid. Every time the prices drop, the whales accumulate into retail panic selling. And if we look at the chart there, you can see the whale balance just growing and growing and growing. And they say March, really, they started the tail end of January, maybe February 1st, February 2nd. The whales have just been accumulating. So as the price declines, whales just continue to accumulate. I expect this to probably continue for the foreseeable future as BlackRock is now in the Bitcoin game, corporate treasuries, nation states. So we'll probably just see more and more whales. So it's going to be increasingly difficult for an average Joe to hold 1 Bitcoin. There's only going to be 20 million Bitcoin. Really, there's probably going to be closer to 15 million Bitcoin. And there's 60 million millionaires. 15 million Bitcoin, 60 million millionaires. Not enough for everybody. You got to jump on this train early, everybody.
And it's getting small fast. I mean, Ansem tweeted, and I kind of agree. If you're a millionaire today and you don't own at least 10 Bitcoin, you don't really have it. That's really not that much of a flex anymore. So it's not like a millionaire is going to want 1 Bitcoin. Most of them are going to want 10 plus, and you've got the micro strategies and the BlackRocks of the world sucking them up as fast as they can get them. I mean, if the US wants 5%, MicroStrategy wants 5%, it's going to, you're talking 500,000 Bitcoin. It's getting really hard to get 1. So yeah, good point.
All right. And let's see here. Just reading some of the William. I will hit my dad joke book. Okay. Tomorrow I'm coming up with fresh material. So you stick around. I'm a roast you. Now most of you are not ready for what's about to happen. This is the others chart. This is Bitcoin priced and basically others. Others is going to be everything, correct? No, totals everything. Others is excluding top 10. I just go to trade and view.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ones. There's total. You're talking about total 3 or total?
Yeah, not others. Speaking parcel tongue there. Excluding top 10, and then others D would be the excluding looking at the dominance there. So the others chart is showing us some bullishness, but we got to get into the article here. And folks, I almost don't want to front run too much information because I found something pretty bullish, and the others chart speaks to Bitcoin, but they're just kind of looking at this trend line here. We're now looking at a very, very lucrative zone for potential third alt season. Do think we are going to get an alt season. Everyone thought this was the alt season, and then Bitcoin came home. Everyone came home. Bitcoin took everyone's lunch, and I think alts are going to have their time to shine, and I think that time is coming up pretty soon. That's what the data is at least suggesting for us there. Where I looked at that. Also, ETH is kind of consolidating right now in a symmetrical triangle on the hourly chart, hinting at a potential 17% move. This is the chart right here. Oh no, that's ETH BTC. This is the chart right here. The way you would measure that is you would basically look at the peak part of the triangle. I would actually make an argument and maybe be right here, and then you could measure that. That would give you a nice little breakout for Ethereum. And if we were to run this, let's say the breakout happens right now. Okay, ETH. I feel weird saying this is like a bullish thing. ETH is going to reclaim $2,000. What world are we in?
Oh my goodness!
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Oh man,
and people will
looking
rejoice.
so ugly out there.
It is. It's ugly time for. And I did actually just share this now that we're back to ETH, and I was just talking about how I thought we're gonna get some bullishness in May with the staking ETFs and all that sort of stuff. ETH just can't catch a break. SEC has delayed Grayscale spot Ethereum ETF staking. So
lowers the odds that it's the May release and maybe we get June now potentially.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a delay on one ETF, but again, this is usually a leader when it comes to these sort of things. They've had their trust in place for a long time. So ETH just can't catch a break. But let us know if you guys, I'm curious to hear from chat, or if you guys want to go comment on this. Are you holding Ethereum, or are you moving on to Solana, AVAX, or Cardano? Obviously, you guys know we like all of those on this channel. I hold all 3 of those things. I'm not stuck on any one of them, but
yeah, I'm
still very large ETH hold. I'd have to go look. I don't know if I have more Solana or more Ethereum, but it's probably more Ethereum. I've got a good amount of Ethereum. So yeah, delayed doesn't mean never. True. It's coming. Like Ethereum staking is going to happen. I do think. And I'll credit Benjamin Cowan's been probably one of the loudest voices in this, saying that both Ethereum pumps and true alt season comes when the Fed truly pivots and we start to get the end of quantitative tightening. We've kind of started to experience when we start seeing rate cuts. And then obviously true easing is when things absolutely go crazy. But I think when we get rate cuts this summer, we're going to have the tariff wars should be mostly behind us at that point, and staking ETFs and a lot of the regulations kicking in. I really, truly believe this summer is when we get a lot of the action. See, sold all my ETH, will rebuy during bear. Well, when is the bear?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the last 3 months?
Yeah, Ethereum's at friggin' 2018 levels. So I'm buying at these levels, and Bitcoin. I mean, they're really strong signs showing both. Bitcoin under 80K and Ethereum in that $1,500 range is extremely oversold. So to me, those are reasons to go all in. I've been telling you guys about that recently. I'm hoping you guys are doing it because I really believe this volatility we've been experiencing these last few weeks has created an incredible opportunity. So hopefully you guys are taking advantage.
Speaking of opportunity, Ben Cowan did talk about ETH. Federal President Collins, the Fed Reserve is absolutely ready to help stabilize markets if needed.
Yep.
Well, they must be watching ETH dominance. He pointed out last time ETH dominance bottomed, it was when quantitative tightening ended. And we're going to talk, I'm putting out a video. I'm going to talk about M2 money supply. I'm going to talk about Ethereum. I'm talking about Ethereum USD, Ethereum BTC, and what the others chart. So turn on notifications. If you hold ETH and you're like, gosh, should I just sell it now for a faster horse? Do not make a move until you watch this video. I'm going to do a lot of research and might even put on that weird green translucent accounting hat. I haven't done that in a while. Maybe look at some averages for drawdowns and some potential stuff like that. I wanted to point something out on the ETH chart, though. I'm feeling short-term bearish. I don't know if these moves have preceded the bearishness there, but you can see on the hourly chart, we are creating a lower high while on the price, we're creating a higher high. This is what they would call a bearish divergence. Typically, you know, the larger the time frame, the better, the more accurate it is. And so my guess, I'm going to go ahead and do a little DZ patented drawing here. My guess is we test the bottom, little wick, and then that's when we get our breakout. So normally these do okay. Maybe they'll be off a day or two.
What time frame is that you're looking at? Chart?
This is the 1 hour,
1 hour.
and so that's probably roughly about 30 candles.
Like it happened this week or the next couple
candles.
days.
Yeah, that's a lot of action for a day. So maybe I should have maybe stretched it out a little bit more. But you know what? We're just gonna roll with it. We'll just roll with it, folks. And then that way, if it matches, I'll see I was right. And then that way, if I was stretch it out and have it right, I'm right both ways. I cover both sides. The Mac way.
There you go.
All right. You see the Visa news, y'all?
Yes. Yeah.
Pretty big. Visa joining Paxos and Robinhood stablecoin consortium, according to sources here. And so Visa's joining the Global Dollar Network. It's stablecoin. It's just a group of firms created by Paxos alongside Robinhood, Kraken, Galaxy Digital. They also have Anchorage Digital, Bullish, which is the owner of CoinDesk, and that's a wallet, right? Nuvea.
Actually, I don't know. Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I imagine. Yeah.
I will say owning one of the larger,
they pull it up for you.
Yeah, having one of the larger crypto publications, that's probably going to do a lot of cheerleading, and you know maybe the people's assigned opinion was, well,
it's actually a credit card service corporation.
Okay,
with
well, there you go.
yeah, massive.
TradFi, I would suppose.
Yep.
All right, so this is a little bit different than Tether. So USDG designed to share the yield with the firms that create connectivity and liquidity, unlike Tether. Tether retains the interest gained from its stablecoin reserves. USDG is going to share the interest it gains from its stablecoin reserves. Large card networks have been partnering in the crypto space. Visa is helping Sam Altman's World Network, and MasterCard is helping MetaMask. But I will say sharing the yield, unlike Tether, this is going to be a game changer. And then they're not sharing the yield with you; they're sharing the yield with Visa,
with Wall Street,
with Wall Street, with the big whales, with the large corporations, with the global conglomerates. And so I could see Visa going hard on this stablecoin.
Yeah, I mean, and this was as expected. This is why the Stable Act's trying to be pushed, is why the Wall Street's lobbying for it, is because they know that they don't want the states to control that yield aspect. These big banks don't want that. The Visas, the MasterCards, they don't want that. They want to control that yield aspect, which means if these states and all these stable coins that will launch, your states are all going to have stable coins, guys. They're not going to get a CBDC, completely different, but a lot of similarities. And the reason why they're not going to get a CBDC is because big banks were never going to allow that to ever happen in the first place. That would essentially completely eradicate the need for all of these different banking giants. So their focus is how about we separate the two, where you can establish a stable coin, but it's got to be one-to-one pegged to the US dollar, and you don't reap any rewards from that. If you want if you want yield and you want those aspects, you got to go through a third party. And so it's interesting to see how this plays out here, and how USDC Circle is a huge lobbyer for a lot of these bills as well. I'd be very interested in actually researching if they're advocates for this, because they're going to the big partners and saying, hey, Tether's done X, Y, and Z and is producing this amount of volume. We'll give you a little bit of that off the top if you guys partner with us and utilize us only within the United States. So this is where USDC, these stablecoin issuers, these are the next Federal Reserves. That's essentially what I look at them as, is they can print money, yield, and generate. It's like kind of they control a lot of value. And it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. And this is why I'm so bullish on real world assets, because you guys have to realize, if they embed these type of bills from the state level, from the bank level, the stablecoin level, you have to access those DeFi railings for the tokenized rewards through these real world assets. And I am somebody that advocates for you. I want us, not the banks. I'm tired of the banks. I want retailers to be able to access that yield as well. I don't want to put my stable coins into a USDC account, and instead of getting 6% yield, I'm only going to get 2.3% because the bank is scraping, 100% of it on the back end. So that is what we have to be careful of. That's where we need that prudence to approach this very, very, very carefully. And ultimately just make sure that this isn't a favor to Wall Street.
Well, and that's part of what you're going to start to see. Like you mentioned, I do agree that USDC and Tether, for the most part, will, but Circle and Tether essentially will end up acting as the central banks of the future, as issuers of the stablecoin. But to what we just talked about, Visa and MasterCard, the legacy system. I mean, I just looked it up. In 2024, they did about almost between the two of them, $400 billion worth of volume in a year. every year. And so that means it's going to be higher in 2025. I mean, they've got an incredible system going with, they make tons of money on every transaction that happens. Visa and MasterCard is basically there at almost every turn where transactions are taking place. So there's no surprise that they're going to want to get a piece of this stablecoin game. And they're going to have to, you have to work with the old system to bring in the new system. To Josh's point, though, we want to make sure we're not just making, the stock market 2.0 and the dollar 2.0, where we still have a lot of the same issues. Now, I think that's ultimately probably the way it's going to play out. I don't, I think there will be a cypherpunk vision of a traditional one that does still have some relevance. That, Bitcoin will remain decentralized, Ethereum, Cardano, a lot of those ideals will remain intact. But most people that interact with a blockchain will probably interact with more centralized services. So I do think the richest, most powerful people in the world will hold most of the Bitcoin. Everything will be a derivative based off of that. And we continue the cycle that we're going through. But you need to be aware of what you're participating in. And seeing a partnership with a Visa and a MasterCard is a pretty good sign that they're going to be successful. Now, partnership is used very loosely. Steve-O even mentioned, Solana had a deal with MasterCard back in the day. And I think Solana is well positioned to through some of these partnerships as well. But partnership, you got to go look into what they're actually doing. And that's why I think it was good that DZ mentioned, they're sharing in the yield. So if there's incentive for MasterCard and Visa to participate in this, that means there's incentive for them not to block it. Their lobbying firms are extremely powerful. So you don't want big money and tech and banks lobbying against you. So that, I think, is what's been the biggest shift in Washington these last several years, is big money and big power has gotten behind crypto instead of being adverse to crypto. And we're seeing a lot of the red tape get cleared out of the way. So, yeah.
I see some people in the chat talking about gold. Gold, continuing to be incredible here. Just looking at the 1 month chart, gold has just been on a tear, on a streak here. But I bring this up because it is also good for Bitcoin, everybody. This is from Colin Talks Crypto. You're going to earn a follow right there.
I love this. Is one of my favorite macro accounts.
I've seen you bring him up, and so that's why I went ahead. You know what? He earned the follow there. He's popped up on the radar a couple times. Here he just shows the outline where gold precedes Bitcoin. So gold will pump before Bitcoin. So when you see a gold pump, oftentimes you can expect that Bitcoin pump. Bitcoin, pumped after gold right here. You can see gold pumping, then Bitcoin followed, and gold is setting all-time highs right now, setting record rallies. Typically, in fact, you actually see as gold rally ends, it shifts into Bitcoin. Gold rally ends, goes straight up, shifts into Bitcoin. Maybe gold pumps for another week, maybe it pumps for another month. But then after that, typically you can shift right into a Bitcoin pump. So stick around in Bitcoin ecosystem. I wouldn't be selling Bitcoin now. You got a lot of people calling them 60s, low 70s. I'm not selling.
No, I'm a net buyer under 80K, and hopefully you guys are too. This channel here, Colin Talks Crypto or Macro or whatever it is. He's another one that posts a lot of those M2 charts that shows the M2 money supply running before.
I pulled up his account 20 hours ago. Pin right there.
Exactly. So that right there, and we've shared that on this channel before, but that chart, really what you see when the M2 money supply starts increasing, when they start printing a lot of money, it usually flows into gold first, which is why gold, both the M2 and the gold chart front runs Bitcoin. And then you see it start to flow into Bitcoin right after that, is what DZ just pointed out. But there's correlation between all three of those charts and the stock market as well. But really, when there's new liquidity, when they're printing new dollars, when there's new money coming into circulation, obviously you see it flow into assets pretty quickly. Gold being one of the ones that captures a lot of that, especially with times of uncertainty. We're seeing Bitcoin start to fulfill that role as well. You can use those as early indicators as to what's going to be coming soon.
Is the dollar going to disappear? Is what people are asking here.
I don't. People love to make that rule. The dollar's not going anywhere. The dollar's going to be the dominant world reserve currency for the next 100, especially with if Trump can pull off this manufacturing, it's just not going to go anywhere. And people want it to, I don't know why people want it to fail so badly. That makes me very concerned with the state of American culture. But the United States is still the world's superpower, and tokenizing everything. You've seen what's happened with the yuan and the euro and everything over the last few weeks. This shift could allow the U.S. to still remain as that reserve status for the next 50 years minimum. Now, this is not at all, though, like you could speculate off the future and make like all these like, oh, what about quantum? What about these breaking our traditional systems and Bitcoin and all this type of stuff? One, we're not there. Two, we have, you know, quantifying proofs that are being created from engineers. But three, again, it's just like still 90% of the world trade is transacted in the US dollar. That's not changing anything like anytime soon. The United States, we're taking control over the Panama Canal. We control the Strait of Malacca. We control the Strait of Hormuz. We are trying to take Greenland, which is a bunch of new North Arctic trade routes. So it's a very interesting, when people want to bet on the downfall of the US dollar, like that would take place over decades and decades and decades. And right now, I honestly see the United States and China making up some pretty good trade negotiations. And if that ends up being the case, we're not going to see BRICS succeed for, you know, many, 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 many decades and advance from now. And you can actually go into like the Belt and Road Initiative if you want, look into like how that's being impacted by Ukraine and Brazil and everything as well. They're not doing so hot. And even though they have like their alternate international trade systems, etc., these new stable coins and the US dollar, it's already digital, and it's only going to become stronger and more stronger as time comes with the tokenization efforts. This is why they're tokenizing everything. It cleans up global trade. It offers new yield opportunity, and it's going to make these big banks in Wall Street in New York trillions upon trillions of dollars. I just don't see that changing anytime soon. But that's my little rant there. Is just like, if you're expecting the US dollar to collapse, like I guess buy gold, but I'm not buying gold any single, like, dude, we're at $3,200. It's gone up 2x in the time span of, I don't even know, a year at this point. You're going into the top end of the cycle here. And if you believe in some commodities based super cycle, which would be very interesting to see roll out here, which again does happen sometimes throughout history, I still don't see the US dollar being the negative factor. Europe's not going to take it over. China, again, is stuck agriculturally, stuck from an energy perspective. Cool, they have cheap manufacturing costs, but their consumers are completely reliant on the United States. There is no argument to be made there that the US dollar loses that status.
No, I think the argument would be that the dollar is failing. It's just doing it slowly, which is what you said. It's basically losing power over decades, not years. And it has been for multiple decades, really ever since the 70s. So I think the trick to it, I don't think it's going to lose being the primary medium of exchange or the primary venue of trade anytime soon, but it's definitely losing to commodities like gold and Bitcoin in value over time. So the great scenario where they could save it is the path that they're on right now of trying to get the US, the United States government, to buy a lot of Bitcoin and then have something backing the dollar. If we could have Bitcoin and gold backing the dollar again, that I think would let it hold its place as the primary medium of trade. I agree. I don't see BRICS being any viable competition. It definitely not within this decade.
You said it there too. It's like we're not looking at the dollar as a store of value, right? It's currency. Like we're Bitcoin and gold are that store of value. So if it supports it, 100% I agree, it makes it stronger. And two, again, if we bring back this manufacturing, it's going to make more, it's just going to create more trade in our currency, which, by the way, for anybody that's coming into that's incredibly bullish for a lot of these risk-on sectors and a lot of US-based companies. So, you know, like what I'm saying is going to succeed out of this is tokenization and real-world assets, which is why, like, that's Chainlink, that's Ethereum, that's a lot of these systems that we've been a part of. So, yeah,
when it comes to RWA, what is it that you think is going to lead the charge?
Stablecoins, US Treasuries.
Same.
Yeah, it's US Treasuries.
I don't know about like the car title, the Rolex, the house deed. 10 years could pass and nothing could change. I would not be surprised.
I 100% agree. And it's like the number one conversation people like to make against the US dollar, like, are there's people that have almost no understanding of debt on a global scale. They'll be like, oh, well, China and Japan are selling off US Treasuries. Well, let me just throw a curveball at you and say, well, imagine if states were the largest US Treasury buyers now. Like we tokenize all of these systems. Wall Street, again, look at Tether. Tether's what, number 8 in the world right now for accumulation on US Treasuries. Imagine if you have Circle doing that alongside all your Wall Streets and all your states. You tokenize all of our systems, our infrastructure, your real estate, et cetera, whatever it is, taxing everything. And you lower those costs massively. Your states are going to become the largest net buyer of US Treasuries in the world. Doesn't matter what China and them are doing. It matters on your manufacturing and consumption within the US. And so, like, there's this weird pivot right now where, again, I feel like people are preying on the downfall of the United States. That tends to lean one direction. You guys know what I'm talking about. That is near impossible, especially when the upside here, again, you're looking at the Fed's pivot, like the amount of growth that's going to come to the United States right now. in the next 3 to 4 years. I just don't see that happening on a multi-decade scale. And now you even have Ray Dalio, the one behind Changing World Order, the one that wrote the book about the downfall of the US dollar. Even he's kind of pivoting that conversation. I have to read his new book that's coming out. But he's been seen talking about, tariffs and everything and how this might affect the dollar dominance for the next, 20, 30, 40 years.
While we're on RWAs, since you are Ondo man, will Ondo suffer or gain from the Ohm drawdown? Do you think
gain
short term? Yeah,
I think gain too.
Yeah, short term, but the credibility again, it's just gonna
credibility for the space diminishes. Short term capital flight to Ondo.
100%. Yeah, and I don't think you're gonna see. But to TJ's point and your point even earlier with Benjamin Cowan, like until we get that true pivot here and that risk on sector starts to look like a lot better of an investment than the bond market, we're going to probably follow that ETH BTC dominance chart right now. So we need to see Ethereum break out. If you guys are getting, these, you're going to get moves, you're going to get pumps. If Bitcoin goes to 95K, of course, your altcoins are going to kind of follow suit, but we're still not going to have that true alt season until that money becomes easy again.
Yeah, I got a super chat here from Frank. Hey guys, hope you're having a good day. I'm curious of what you guys think of AVAX this cycle and think it will reach its all-time high again this bull run. I can see DZ, you looks like you're pulling that chart up.
Pulling up the AVAX chart here. We did point out some short-term price action that is looking pretty bullish. And if we zoom into the daily, what the heck was he drawing this yellow line for? Let's see. Did it play out? We had a little. Ooh, I love when a textbook bull div on the daily plays out beautifully here. You can see we were setting in higher highs on the RSI while the price was making lower highs, and you caught a nice little pump right there. But you're wondering, what about the all-time? Oh, that's 36%. That's more than I thought. You're wondering about the all-time high though. Can we hit? Was it 150?
Yeah. While you're looking at that, I'll say I do like Avalanche overall as a layer one. It's got a lot of what's the phrase I'm looking for? Flexibility to do a lot of different things. You can kind of I always use the
malleable.
Yeah, it's malleable. I use the example. They've got off the grid. They've also got some government type plays. They've got some stablecoin kind of sort of stuff going on, some RWA. So I really like them. They've got a Amazon working with them in the past. So I like it as an alternative option to your top layer ones. I'd put it right in there. Obviously it hasn't got as far as Solana, but it's competing with the Cardanos, the Solanas, the Ethereums of the world. Maybe has a little bit more upside. You're obviously speculating a little bit more. There's less use on it than some of those other chains, but I think it's got a very strong competitive edge to compete to be a top smart contract chain.
And I saw something bullish on Market Cipher B here. The money flow is looking pretty good. So we're looking at the daily money flow, and the fuel money flow is just money entering into the system. The way you see it often, you can kind of predict where things are going to be heading. And we just let's go ahead and move to the future here. I could see this situation right here. If the money flow, obviously we're trying to guess here and speculate, and we're seeing some bull divs. This definitely could play out. Last time the money flow went into the green deep on the daily here. If we just measure straight from where the red flipped to the green, I'm gonna go make sure we go straight up from here. Yeah, this could definitely hit new all-time highs. This bounced from roughly $16. If we happen, looks like it could be bouncing from roughly like $20. I don't want to say guaranteed it's going to hit $150 again. I am leaning. I know it's pretty bullish. I'm leaning more likely yes than no, though. I know that's crazy bullish. That's a 7.5x.
No, I think
Avalanche can do it.
If we see the alt season that we're expecting, and everything takes off, I think we'll see a lot of. All-time highs should be almost conservative for a lot of these top projects. Reclaiming all-time highs should be easy, which is why we're screaming accumulate at these levels. When you're down 60 to 90% on altcoins, now is when you want to be buying, not at the top. And I am saying that are seeing people in the chat saying Bukele is at the White House, so maybe keep an eye on that. You still have that window open?
Let me see.
Every gamer I know loves AVAX, all three of them.
Yeah.
I got one quick story while Josh pulls that up. A trader that was into crypto punks might be going to jail. We got a crypto punk who's going to be punked. He's going to be holding someone's pocket and putting Skittles on his lips. The trader sold 62 CryptoPunk NFTs in 2021, earned $7 million, and then he sold 35 more and made another $5 million. Well, what happened then? Well, he's pleading guilty to underreporting his income. He filed a false income tax return, and he reduced his income by $8.5 million. and reduced his taxes by 2 million.
Jeez.
Then he underreported his income by 4.6 million. Remember, he only made 4.9. So he underreported the 4.6 by 4.9, or by the only 0.3 is all he made. Underreported his taxes by $1 million he would have owed. He sold 97 crypto punks, but he might be doing 97 lashes elsewhere. What do we have on the Trump thing?
Yeah, it was just like 2 seconds long. The press. Here you go. I pulled it up on the screen for you.
As he walks in.
Yeah, Trump just came out
okay.
and
So
greeted
gonna
him.
be mean.
It looks like it's gonna be
inside.
closed press. Yeah, I think they just left the press pool for pictures here. There is though. I'll pull up the calendar here. So
You say
Bukele.
DZ looks like Bukele.
A little bit. I think he's got a little bit more hair on the top.
More hair, obviously.
But maybe if you just go to Turkey for a little bit, you can come back with some nice plugins. And so here is they go in. They're going to be speaking here for probably the next 30 minutes. If we look at the roll call here today, the president greets. So that was open press outside 11. So they're running behind schedules here by about 30 minutes or maybe about 15 minutes. I think I was behind on that. But the president participated in bilateral lunch, and then they have the White House press pool here. So we'll probably begin some announcement of that, but I would say, to your point here earlier, this is going to be more over the conversation of the jailing system. I think it's going to be in terms of the illegal migrants is going to be their conversation more so than Bitcoin. I would love to see it. We'll see. But that looks like that's, everything until about 3:00 where the president will have some questions on the South lawn.
J2 with the super chat. When is the Disco Crypto Summit or meetup? I mean, we'll be out at Vegas for the Bitcoin conference at the end of May. If you guys want to come out, maybe we'll do a little something out there. Just pick a spot and say, this is where we're at, and come hang out, and we'll chat with you guys.
Yeah, and if you guys are in Dubai at the end of this month, I'll be there for about a week. So if you guys, and I might be actually speaking at the conference too. We're trying to get a panel right now.
Are we gonna do a meetup in Vegas?
Yeah, that's what I was just. That's what I just said.
Vegas will be a full.
Yeah. We'll just. It'll be a last minute. If you're there, come hang out, kind of thing. We'll pick a time. We're gonna be doing a whole media content house out there, guys. So yeah, everybody from our team will be there. We'll have some other people hanging out with us at the spot. So we'll be doing plenty of fun stuff. Maybe we'll got to get out there, get the lay of the land a little bit. Maybe pick something on. Maybe we'll do something on the Tuesday. Because that's before everything gets going. Because I think it's the conference is Wednesday, Thursday, and then we're leaving Friday. So, but we're gonna be there all week, Monday through Friday. We'll be doing the stream for you guys out there. But yeah, we're still putting together some info for that. But we'll also have some Discord stuff coming for you guys where we'll be talking about it there. I tested it over the weekend. Still have a couple things to do to get the buttons working all linked up correctly, but should be ready to rock soon. But you guys have any questions in the chat, let us know. Also, we got a few thousand people watching here, a little light on the likes today. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button for us. Sometimes you have to turn your phone sideways, close the live chat sometimes. And if you're watching on X, hit the heart and share it out there with us, and spread that news for more people to learn about Bitcoin and Ethereum and probably your favorite altcoin too. So yeah.
All right. And if you want to trade, we got a link down below. Turn on notifications. ETH video is ETH heading home, is ETH heading to 5K. And get your trades in. I might have to open a trade for the video too. Is he going to long? Is he going to short? Turn on the video to see. That's all we got.
See you guys.